This part of the briefing, I'll get right into it because I'll visit with you during the course of the presentation. Lauren Burke. I'm doing this as a gift from her to you. Lauren Burke was killed in March of 2008 at Auburn University. 19 years old, freshman, beautiful girl. Was doing nothing wrong. Had left the dorm to go to her car. I don't know if you've been to Auburn or not, but it's a beautiful little campus. Had not had a homicide at Auburn in 153 years. Gets to her car, and there's a guy waiting on the perfect lamb. And he puts a gun to her head, tells her, if you scream, I'll shoot. Forced her into the car. It was 8 o'clock at night. And abducted her from the campus. He had her disrobe while he's driving her car around campus. This is important because I'll teach more about it in a few minutes. I had her take her clothes off while he's making stops, stop lights, right turns, left turns on the campus. She's scared to death. Takes her off the campus. She realizes now what's getting ready to happen. She tries to run. He shoots her before she can get out of the car. He leaves her to die, which she does. He takes the car back to the campus and sets it on fire and burns it. He has been caught, and he has the death penalty, but it's a sad deal. I will tell you, as I mentioned Lauren, I invited her father to hear this. She was killed 4 years ago. I invited her parents last year to come hear me speak at Auburn, which is where she was killed. In honor of her, he says, you know, it's too soon. I can't do it. And then he disappeared in this thought, and this is one of the reasons I do this. He said, I never taught Lauren anything. And it just broke my heart. So this gift is from Lauren and her family, and I hope that by the end of it we can learn something, and we'll learn about her death and how to avoid it. Eve Carson, believe it or not, she was killed 24 hours later at the University of North Carolina. She was the president of the student body, beautiful young woman, 21 years old. She was at her parents' home, very exclusive neighborhood in Chapel Hill, left the door unlocked. Parents weren't home. About 12:30, two men burst into her house. One was 17 years old, looking for money, and abducted her at gunpoint. Put her in the car, drove around Chapel Hill, went to 7 ATMs to take money out of the machine in her name. Once they got what they wanted, she's in the car. They take her to a wooded area, and they shot and they killed Eve Carson. They caught both those guys. One was 17, who was on probation, by the way, for another violent crime. Left her door unlocked. Chelsea. Chelsea's about your age. She was 17 years old, an athlete, lived in San Diego, had gone jogging by herself. She'd done it many times. Gone to the park, probably something like Percy Warner Park, when she was abducted and drugged off into the woods. Don't know if she fought or not. Was sexually assaulted and then was choked to death, and they found her body about 2 weeks later. The guy that assaulted and killed her had that day tried to abduct another woman who fought him and escaped. And then he found his what I call the lamb, the perfect lamb, Chelsea, and she died at 17. And they caught him as well. Yearly Love. This one happened in 2010. She was a great student, great athlete, lacrosse player at the University of Virginia. Had a boyfriend that was an abuser. Had been for 3 years that they dated. He was also a lacrosse player. Had been arrested numerous times for alcohol abuse. Very wealthy family. She broke up with him. He didn't like it. Many people had intervened to try to protect her from him. He broke into her apartment on this night, kicked in her door. He was drunk, broke in her door and beat her head against the wall and killed her yearly, 2 months before she graduated from the University of Virginia. All beautiful women, all from very nice families, all in good schools. Nothing can happen to me. It's something that I'm trying to share with you tonight, or today. These were the people that were involved. I won't mention their names. They're not worth knowing. But what you can get from this, you don't know what your adversary looks like. You don't know who the predator is and who's trying to get you. I did learn last night from a good friend, Judd, who's here with me today, as well as my brother and my sister and the Russells. Judd is a Navy SEAL. We were talking yesterday at lunch. We talked about predators and how predators never get that appetite fulfilled. There's no moral compass for them. So the things that we think that can protect us doesn't even apply to them. So they wake up in the morning looking for a way to fulfill their appetites. So it's our job to avoid them if we can. And that's the whole mission of what we're trying to talk about today. Vigilance defined. This is the most important thing. If it doesn't look right, if it's out of place, that guy's walking towards me, doesn't make sense. Why is he leaning on my car? Why is he following me out of the grocery store? Those are things that you need to be aware of. I don't want to fight anybody. We'll talk later when the girls come up. Boy, I know how to fight. Do I want to fight? Absolutely not. I don't want to fight anybody. And so I try to avoid it by paying attention to what doesn't fit. This is what the Israelis taught me. If it just doesn't look right, it probably is not right. We'll talk about intuition here in just a second. It's very important to understand that. Lambs versus lions. I spoke last week at Father Ryan, and I started talking about lambs and lions. And my wife said, you need to explain that. Well, let me explain it. A lamb is what your sexual predators usually are lone wolves. They're by themselves. Or someone that wants to rob you, usually by themselves. And they look for the perfect lamb. The girl that looks nervous, eyes are down. And I don't want anybody to see me. Maybe if I just kind of walk quietly, they won't pay any attention to me. Tunnel vision. We call them soft targets. That's what we learned in the service. Soft target, the easy one. I'm going to go where it's the easiest to do something. So that's what we call the lamb. But I don't want you to be lambs anymore. I want you to be lions. I want you to be strong, and it doesn't matter what your size is. It has to do with your attitude and the way you present yourself. Aware. I know what's going on around me. My eyes are moving. I know what's going on. Strong posture. Good attitude. I'm fearless. There's no way. I know what's going on. I'm a hard target. I'm not one to mess with. Now, how do we do that? I had someone tell me the other day, well, when I'm in a bad spot, I pull my cell phone out and call my boyfriend or call my husband. And you know what I tell them? They'll hear you scream. Because that's all that's going to do for you. Because what this presents to a bad guy is, look at her. She's not paying any attention. She doesn't know I'm around her. When, in fact, she might, but you've kind of invited, you've made yourself a soft target by pulling the phone out. Earbuds when you're out running. You don't hear someone coming up on you. That's a good soft target. I can tell you right now, hard targets, and I'm going to show you some more a little bit later, hard targets are not what the bad guys want. And I'll explain what that means. But this is, I want you to be lions. So when I mentioned lamb versus lions, and you're going to get a chance to participate here before we finish today about how to be a lion, you're going to see that. But it's most important. I did this at Auburn University 3 years ago to the gymnastics team. Probably the tallest girl was 5'2", but they were strong. They were very strong. And one of them asked me, we were fighting, and they were out on the mats, they're throwing elbows. I'm trying to protect myself because I knew they were trying to hurt me. And they were tough. And one of the little girls said to me, she says, hey, do you use all this fancy stuff, all this martial arts stuff? I said, well, no. Have you ever? They said, no. Have you ever had to fight? I said, no, I never have. What? I said, because I avoid it. And I'm a lion. I told them I'm a lion. And so I don't look like someone to mess with. And the same could go for you, because predators don't want to get caught. You look them in the eye, you speak to them forcefully, all of a sudden they realize, she can identify me, or she's paid attention to me. So I just wanted to kind of talk about the lions and the lions. These are some important things. They look for single women. Let me tell you a quick story. I met a lawyer 2 weeks ago. She's 35 years old. I won't tell her name. She went to Brentwood Academy. Family very wealthy. She went to Vanderbilt University. She's now a very successful lawyer, very beautiful girl. And I did not remember the story. It happened in 1995. She was by herself. She had gone with 4 of the girls, gone drinking, 19 years old. And when she tells me this story, which she was very glad